Hi you guys, this is Nicole from My Carolina Garden and welcome to my early spring garden tour. I've been waiting to say that to you again for a year, so this is an exciting time in the garden. I garden in zone 8A/B in southeastern North Carolina. If you like the content that I provide in my videos, please subscribe to my channel so that my content can continue being brought to you. We are going to start this tour off in my front yard so we can see what is already starting to look great. I really wasn't sure how to get you the best shot of my tulips. Starting in my front yard along my front walkway that leads to my porch, I planted my tulips in 2 rows this year, as you can see. I am so delighted with the color choice because they're just sunny and cheerful. That, coupled with the lemon coral sedum on either sides of my walkway, I love that yellow combination so early in the spring. So the lemon coral sedum is something I talk about all the time because you could just break a little piece of this off and drop it on the ground and it's going to end up re-rooting. It is just so easy to grow. So between my tulips, the sedum, and then right here, that pink verbena, holy cow. The stunning and vibrant verbena has a spreading habit here, so it is a great ground cover, and that's perfect for me because I have all this space to fill up. So I have that happening, and of course my kaleidoscope lobelia, which is just an evergreen shrub whose leaves kind of change color with the seasons. I love having that beauty with color here, and my loropetalum, which has been blooming since February, is still going on a little bit now too. So just a lot of great color right for the front. From the area right there, we extend this way in the front yard, and this is the garden I like to call my Peninsula garden because it extends from my fence line and comes out as a peninsula. I have a magnolia tree that grounds the back of the peninsula along near the fence, and then I have all sorts of pretty things starting this way. This is a crepe myrtle that does not look good yet, so we have not seen any leafing out on it, but this is going to be a beautiful flowering tree. But one of the things to point out is my golden sword yucca. I have one here and I have one over here. The golden sword yucca is another evergreen that offers you color all year, but right now we're seeing a very vibrant yellow and green mixture. In the back section of my rock garden here, I have a black and blue salvia that is leafing out, so that's going to be amazing and tall for the back section here. And then as we move forward, I have orange daylilies. They are just one of the perennials that get big, I divide up, they spread more, I divide up again. This rock is one of my favorite things. This came from a local rock quarry. This was once underneath the ocean. I love adding the rock for structure in my garden, and I have lots of them from many other places all around. So my rocks are one of my favorite things. But right beside that, I have peonies that are coming up. I have this one with the most height right here, and another one's probably a little bit more difficult to see right here. Peonies are a challenge for me. I definitely do not find them easy to grow where I am. I probably am making some sort of user error, but we're going to see what happens. I am taking this as a great sign that my peony is already up and looking like this. I have some new growth of something that is happening right here. I'd love to tell you what it is, but as you can see, my little name card for my garden, completely washed away. I purposely bought these name cards with some sort of special pen that wasn't supposed to wash off, and it has. Any suggestions for how you tag your plants so you can remember what's where? Please tell me. I think I'm going to use a oil-based paint pen this year, but I believe this is going to be the purple balloon flowers. And I also decided to line the front of this flower bed with tulips as well. So I selected a purple mix for over here, and I have a purple verbena right here. So it turns out that this looks even more lovely than I anticipated. And now let me show you something closer up that's right here. Okay, so first of all, let me back you up to my spring garden last year. I had the most stunning show of yellow flowers, which are called evening primrose, all throughout this garden. Everyone commented on how glorious they were. Well, then I ended up finding these other types of primrose. These are called twilight primrose. Twilight is pink and the evening is yellow. So I got 2 sets of the twilight primrose, and now I have them everywhere. Talk about a self-seeder. I wasn't familiar with the twilight one before, so I didn't really know how much of a self-seeder it was. I have little baby sprouts happening all over the place. Now they are really beautiful flowers, so I don't want to say they are invasive. I don't know that they are, especially in my area, but please make sure you have room for them so they don't disturb other things that are growing nearby. So I have some canna lilies right here, 3 different varieties that are beginning to get some size on them. So as long as temperatures stay above 40 degrees from here on out, these babies are ready to take off. This is a guara right here. It's small, it's only like the size of my hand, but that's okay. We're gonna have the dark pink and purple foliage with really delicate pink flowers on it for the guara. So over here, I have a pin cushion that is beginning to pop up again. And don't be fooled, I rewrote this name yesterday, so that one was gone as well. And dianthus, I can never say enough good things about the dianthus because it's been blooming on and off for me all winter long. And it seems to be hardy to every condition. It gets brutally hot here, humid, we can have drought time periods, and the dianthus is just always sitting here as like a best good buddy. Coming to the outside of my fence line, I basically have a sloped yard that goes into a swale or like a water holding ditch. When we get heavy rains, that's where a lot of the water goes, and then it actually gets funneled out to the intercoastal waterway. Well, because of this slope, I have a lot of erosion here. So one thing that's on my to-do list this year is making a flower bed here to stop or try to stop some erosion, but also I'm going to attempt to use a lot more ground cover and see if the root systems of the ground cover will help with that problem. So I'm using that lemon coral sedum again, and then I have phlox over here. This is just one little piece that I transplanted from a huge one I have in my backyard, but that's what I'm going to try to do this year. And I have to continue down the whole slope to the swale, and I don't know how I'm going to do that yet. I've attempted to plant canna lilies in the area that was more wet. They did not thrive at all, so I know that won't work. I'm looking into some other plants that like to have wet feet, and also I might utilize some more stone and see if I can't take care of the problem that way. But I just kind of wanted to show you what's happening over here. New flower bed, obviously no mulch yet. You can see my sandy soil, but that's what's happening over here. So we're back in my backyard, essentially on the side of the yard where we started from. So over here is my newest area of plantings, because this area is going to get partial shade in the afternoon thanks to the fence right here and the way my house shadows. So I was thrilled to be able to have some things that enjoy partial shade. I decided to go for these sweet and delicate English daisies to be over here. So they like the chilly temperature, so they've already been blooming for me, and they also like the afternoon shade that I'm getting. So then I have the cherry truffle heucheras over here. I haven't really had great success with heucheras before because I've had just way too much sun. And again, the summers here in particular are so brutal with the sun and the heat. So I have these in a more protected spot now. And then I have my very awesome camellia with the iridescent leaves. Winter bloomer. Love that baby so much. Let me show you what's happening over here in what I like to call my rock garden. My rock garden is flanked by Amethyst Falls wisteria. The wisteria is just starting to leaf out right now, and I can actually see some buds already beginning. That one is really going to put on its show in mid-April, so we are getting there. But with the wisteria here, I have 3 sections of privacy screen in the middle of those, and my rocks and all my other beautiful plants are all down here below. I have some dianthus that is right here. We have probably the most blooms in the spring, but it's going to continue with little blooms here and there all throughout the entire year, and it stays evergreen for me. And then this right here is just a sedum that is full of rosettes. Seems to be a great ground cover for me. I'm not even sure what kind of sedum it is, but I love having it here because it begins to go around all of my rocks. This right here is the Sunny Border Blue Speedwell, so that is leafing out beautifully. You may be wondering why I have this whole blank spot right here. Well, guess what? This is going to be blanket flowers. My blanket flowers get huge over in this area. They are tremendous self-seeders, and things like this, which are essentially everywhere, all over my yard, different parts of my flower beds, this is all going to be blanket flowers. So the next tour that I give in about a month from now, you're going to see how big and bushy the blanket flower has gotten. This is the moment I've been waiting for, to show you my creeping moss phlox and how outstanding it is in my rock garden. The phlox has been with me for years now, and it continually grows, travels. It is a fabulous ground cover. The leaves stay evergreen for me, and the flowers basically begin to slow down a lot after the spring, but it continues flowering for me in small ways throughout the year. So this is the phlox here. It has little creepers, so it is beginning to cling to the rock, which I just love. So it started out as just one plant. Over time, as it grows, again, I love dividing up my perennials. I've put it into other spots, so wherever it is in my yard, all started from one plant. Then this is the sunshine ligustrum. The ligustrum coupled with the phlox, I just love the color combination. And of course, this garden is going to get a lot more colorful and change a whole lot throughout the gardening seasons, but just start things off like this right now is just fabulous. As we stand back a little bit so we can get a bigger picture of what the garden looks like, I wanted to say something else about my wisteria. Again, mine is called Amethyst Falls. I've had it for about 4 years, and it started with one plant on each side of my privacy screen. I have never had to cut my wisteria back. I know some people say it can be invasive, or they've had to cut theirs back terribly because it spreads like a monster. I do not have that experience. 4 years, and I have not had to trim it at all. I also do know that the Amethyst Falls variety is not an invasive variety. I've had great success with mine, so that's just my personal experience with that. Over here, I have many clumps of Shasta daisies. My Shasta daisies are green clumps throughout most of the year, and I'm now just beginning to get some buds showing up. This one in particular, it's so exciting. When these daisies grow, their height is pretty phenomenal. They're big, sometimes they need to be staked. These daisies originally came from my mom's garden, and she shared them with me, and now I get to share them with other people because it's easy to divide up. Now coming to this side of my wisteria, I have an autumn joy sedum here, which is already a nice little poof. I will be transplanting that though to an area with some less oppressive sun. I think it's just a little bit too much for it to really get big and thrive here. But then this whole area is all of that rosette sedum I talked about. I said I'm not sure of the name of it. It is kind of like thick, I want to say, but again, it's starting to trail up my rocks, and of course it's a ground cover. So I have that over here, and that seems to be super happy with the even oppressive sun and heat. And then back here is irises. Ooh, the birds are going crazy. Am I near a nest? I don't know if they're mad at me or each other. Let's see if I can film them. Okay, I think the birds were just chasing each other. So I have some irises that are here, and I have multiple kinds of daylilies that are here. Now here's another example of my little labels not working out great for me. These say orange daylilies, and this says red daylilies, but they're no longer in the ground, so I'm not even sure which ones are which. But anyway, daylilies all over here. In the area that leads to my greenhouse, there isn't a ton to show you because my poolside gardens have really tropical plants in them. So I have my banana trees, I have canna lilies, and I have hardy perennial hibiscus all over here. I will show you actually one of my canna lilies because they're the variegated red that are already having some height on them. And since they're my favorite, I'll show you those. And then I have my emerald green arborvitae trees over here on this side. So we're ready to get this area cleaned up a little and mulched. Of course, my greenhouse, that looks amazing, but I've shown you that recently, so we're not going to go there right now, not until all of that stuff gets put out into the landscape. Let me show you my red cannas. First, let me show you my adorable mermaid, which almost looks like sea glass colors on the tail. I found this statue at TJ Maxx just recently, and I loved it so much I knew it had to go by my pool. But getting to my red canna, right here you see the multicolored variegated leaves. It almost doesn't even matter what color the flower is on this. I love the foliage so much. So I just got a piece of this from my mother-in-law last summer, and that's the only one I had. I've never seen this in a nursery nearby. I'm just hoping that it's going to be as good of a grower and spreader as all the other canna lilies that I have. I did want to point out my oleander that's here. I mentioned it in my video comparing zones 8A and 10A. And I was saying I hope it's coming back. I have seen some signs of life on it, which is great. So I think I just have to clip off these dead pieces, which I will be doing today. And then I'm starting to see some new green growth. So yay, my oleander is going to survive. Right beside my pool and underneath banana trees and my oleander right there, I have a sweet succulent garden. Now these succulents go dormant in the winter, but they are still going to come back for me. The garden doesn't look all that terrible, to tell you the truth, but I do look forward to showing you more of what this succulent garden will be offering later in the season as well. Right beside my succulent garden, I have this blanket flower, I want to say like little kind of bush. This blanket flower actually has been green and survived all winter, which is really unusual because I have them in so many other parts of my garden and they didn't survive. I have a love-hate relationship with my blanket flowers. They self-seed for me so easily. I think part of the reason is because they like well-draining soil, and I do have sandy soil here. I find these growing wild at the beach everywhere. So this variety at least grows so easily and is such a self-seeder that I end up with blanket flowers just everywhere. So on the other side of my backyard, I have some other things that are also looking lovely. This is an azalea bush, which is budding up everywhere. So again, this is going to be probably an April bloomer. This is going to have magenta blooms on it. I have the grape hyacinth muscari still blooming for me. That started back in January, I think. This is more daylilies that are starting to leaf out. This crepe myrtle is actually starting to get buds on it. So this one is moving a little bit faster than the one in the front yard, which is great. So many things that are going to be great to show you in just a very short amount of time. So happy spring, my fellow gardeners. I'm so excited. I know that you are too. I can't wait to share more, talk more, come up with more ideas together. That's what this channel is all about, to be able to share ideas with each other. What would look great? What are people's favorite plants? All of those sorts of things. So I'm super excited for this upcoming season. Right now I have tons of energy. Let's talk again at the end of September and let's see how we all feel then. But until then, happy planting.